Whoa, all four wheels off the ground there in the old dolly. Driving lights nosed into the ground a bit there.
Right on. This is wrong. Okay.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Dolomite Rally Car Restoration. The time has come to speak of many things, the walrus said. Well, it's come time to talk about putting the engine into the car. Now, it's a fairly easy job, I hope. But before we start, there is a couple of jobs that have to be done before that happens. First up, the exhaust needs to go on. Now, this is the gasket that comes with the gasket kit sort of thing from a well-known Triumph supplier. Look, that's a piece of tin steel, it ain't doing nothing. This, on the other hand, is a proper modern style gasket, like that. Now this, I'm told, is off 80s Nissan Bluebird. But don't hold me to that, that's just what I was told. When you put them together, the holes don't quite line up, so I've drilled the holes to suit. It's only a tiny bit out, but it's enough. The exhaust part of it lines up. Just the bolts are like, less than 1/8 of an inch out. So I just sandwiched it between two bits of wood and drilled it. And so that now could go on, the exhaust can go on. The other thing that has to go on is this, which is part of the steering column arrangement. That's a uni joint, that end. This end is a brake joint, so the steering column doesn't go through your chest. These can be a real nightmare. I've had some struggles with these over the years. Anyway, I need to put that onto the subframe and the steering rack, so that when the steering rack comes up, I have to line that up with the column to get that on. And the exhaust are the Gearbox crossmember. Those three little jobs, whack them on, and then engine in the car. One of the little problems we're going to have there is the car's not high enough to wheel the engine under. It's about yay too low. So I need to hoist the car up a little bit to get the engine just roughly into the engine bay, and then it can come back down onto its stance. Now I've done the 2500 this way many times, but I think I've only done the dolly once by putting it up from underneath. So we'll see how that goes. Now I'm going to put some anti-seize on here. I know it's an exhaust, and therefore it makes no difference, it'll be all burnt off very quickly, but the facts of life are this exhaust is not staying on the car. It's going on, I'll put it in, everything could be honky-dory, but this is brand new. On the end here needs to be welded some sort of flange. I hate slip joints, and that's probably going to be the one that's on the old piece of exhaust. And that needs to be positioned on here and welded in place. It's the only way to get it in the right angle and everything else. So it may well be that it gets tacked on and I got to take it off and then gets welded properly. It may not turn out that way, but as these bolts are extremely hard to get to once it's in the car, I don't want to lock myself in, so the anti-seize stuff will just help if the exhaust has to come off. to be welded. Well, straight away there's a problem. The way the engine's sitting on this trolley, it's not going to go on. Alrighty then, we'll have a second go at putting this piece of exhaust on. Now the cast iron part of this exhaust manifold that's on the head, they strip out these, what I'm screwing in at the moment, endlessly. So all of these have been helicoiled over the years. And of course the helicoils don't necessarily stand up all that well in the heat of the exhaust either, so I've had them come out. You know, you get away with it if it's only one spline out, but there's no way of really absolutely doing it, so I'm just going to do it and hope for the best, as usual. Well, that's the steering doohickey thingamajiggy, whatchamacallit, on. The trick here is knowing what's the straight ahead position in the rack. You wind it all the way, you know, find out how many turns lock to lock it is and divide it in half and then turn it to what you think's. It's never, I've never got it right, so anyway, it's on now. It's only done up a little bit tighter than finger tight because it's a good chance it'll have to be mucked around with later. Alrighty, on to the next job before the motor goes in, which I can't remember. It's the Stig Gearbox crossmember. Well, we're just about there. Time to put the engine in, sort of. It's in the engine bay under the car, if you like. Now it's just a matter of jacking it up, and then I'll be put the gearbox crossmember on. I decided not to put it on beforehand, basically because I couldn't remember which way around it went. It'll be apparent when I get under it now. So yeah, put the gearbox mounting on, bolt that up, get the engine up quite as high as I can. I'm hoping to get the subframe on the trolley jack, because this will still be here, and wheel it in under the car from underneath to get it. And I'm hoping these sort of bars that are associated with this hoist won't be in the way. That's a challenge yet to come. Yeah, we'll see that. No doubt you'll find out how that turns out. Alrighty, let's get on with it. Well, we better get down and under and get that gearbox crossmember on first. Oh, let's try and get this gearbox crossmember in. I think we need a trolley jack under here. You know, I think I might have put this crossmember on around the wrong way. Alrighty then, let's try getting this gearbox on again. Crossmember. Oh, what's all these bloody wires? Sort of. Anyway, bolt's too long. Fouling on the solenoid. Third time lucky. Well, that's the gearbox cross member on. All looks pretty good. There's a few doodads to also hook up, but I'll come back to that. First thing that I'm not liking down here at all is this fancy new stainless steel piece of exhaust I bought from a well-known British Triumph supplier. It's hanging a lot lower than what the old one used to. It's sort of sitting there saying, come on, hit me, hit me, hit me. Even on a road car you're going to be scraping it over speed bumps and what have you, but that will have to wait for another day. Now, you might remember when I was talking about some of the strengthening on this car, it was never built as a rally car from bare shell and seam welded and all that sort of stuff. It's been a car that's been used and then repaired and fixed and added and what have you over the many years. This chassis rail just here, what the original one looks like is that one. Now this one is still, the original one's still there, it's just been boxed in for added strength. Now also down the side of the car here, this bit here, across and up, all the way down the side of the car, on both sides, is not been replaced, but put over the original. So there's steel down, bent and then welded, and it's not continuously welded, it's welded for an inch, then left a gap, welded for an inch. Now that's how rally car builders have always told me that it should be done, and so that's why I've done it that way. Of course, opinions vary around the place for that sort of thing, and I don't know what modern rally cars are built like, but certainly in the 70s and into the 80s, everyone I knew that were building rally cars, that's how they did it. Even a race Dolomite I owned at one point that someone else built, they'd done the same thing. They'd sort of welded a bit, left a gap, welded a bit. So it seems to be common practice, but who am I to know? Well, I'm stuffed up. I haven't got any of these. I thought I'd bought everything I needed for this job over the months. Spare parts laying around everywhere. Some I bought sort of 2 years ago. But for some reason I missed these. Now these are a bush that goes in, this holds the subframe on. These are there's two at each bolt. Some are great big suckers, and the ones at the rear is this one and the subframe, then a funny shaped one, and then a funny shaped big washer that goes up underneath it. Now all the other bushes that hold the subframe in just don't deteriorate really, they last forever, but these ones for some reason do, and these are buggered, they can't go back in, and so I'm going to have to order some new. If I can't get them in Australia and I have to buy them from England, with the virus these days, it's about a 3-week delivery time, so it's going to be a delay in the poor old dolly. So that brings us to the end of this episode. Tune in, same duck time, same duck channel, for more mechanical mayhem on the dolly when we'll finally put the subframe in. So bye for now.